And NASA and Russia's Roscosmos announced that they have signed an agreement to cooperate on building the Deep Space Gateway near the moon. DSG will sort of take the place of the aging ISS and could also serve as a pit stop for future missions to Mars. So joining me now to discuss, we've got former ISS Commander Leroy Chiao. Hi there, Leroy. Great to see you as always.
Hey, great to see you, Manila, kind of.
Kind of see me. Well, first, can you talk about NASA's relationship to Roscosmos and how they brokered this idea, and perhaps what other countries might be involved?
Absolutely. So, of course, NASA has been working with Russia since the early to mid 90s, and starting with, cooperating on Russia's Mir space station and then developing ISS. So this is a natural extension. I'm very pleased to see this happening and this agreement being signed at the IAC in Adelaide. It means that we will continue, NASA and Roscosmos will continue to cooperate in space. And it's very exciting because this Deep Space Gateway is one of the key components of the new architecture that is more moon-centric now. And it's basically a node, a very small, human-tended kind of a space station that will enable us to both explore the moon and also serve as a departure point to go farther into the universe, including possibly, or hopefully, one day to Mars.
So why exactly then are we building this DSG? And what's the big deal with the moon? Haven't we explored enough of it?
Well, we haven't explored the moon, but the last time we were there is 1972, so we haven't been back there in quite a while. The reason to go back, there are many reasons. If we want to go to Mars, in my opinion, I think it makes a lot of sense to go back to the moon first, because we want to make sure that everything we send to Mars before we send the crew there is going to work. So we want to make sure our habitats work, the power sources, power generators, the rovers, spacesuits. We want to train crews there. The moon is only 3 days away, so if something goes wrong, you can get your crew back pretty quickly. Mars, on the other hand, when the planets are lined up, usually we talk about transit times of at least 6 months one way. And so if you had a problem going outbound, it would be a year or more before you got your crew back. So you want to make sure everything's going to work very well. This DSG, the Gateway, what that does, it's a little space station. And so we would launch our crews to that space station. They would assemble there, and from there they could either depart to further destinations or go down to the surface of the moon or conduct robotic operations remotely from the DSG on the surface of the moon. So what the DSG does is gives you a lot of flexibility for exploration, and I would fully expect all of the partners currently working on the ISS, and hopefully new ones as well, to come in and cooperate together.
Now, I was just joking about this with you on Twitter, which I tagged you on, saying that this is sort of going to serve as like a pit stop in outer space for one trip to the next. It kind of sounds like that's what this is going to serve as, and that NASA has selected 6 companies to develop prototype habitats. Bigelow Aerospace, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Orbital ATK, Sierra Nevada Corporation Space Systems, and NanoRacks. So does this indicate then that NASA is really heading this venture?
Well, what it is the gateway is an integral piece. Like I said, it's kind of like a node. A pit stop, it's probably more than a pit stop. And maybe it's like you could think of it as a really nice, truck stop where you can get fuel, you can get supplies, you can, take a rest and then go from there to another destination. NASA will probably be the lead partner, just as we are NASA's the lead partner on the ISS, but we'll bring in all the other partners too. And so Russia and NASA, I would envision a similar partnership, a similar structure as we have aboard the International Space Station with the other countries of the European Space Agency, the Japanese, and the Canadian space agencies. And I'm hopeful that we can bring other partners in, like the Chinese Space Agency, the China Manned Space Program. Obviously, they're a player in this space, no pun intended. But I would love to see this cooperation happen, because when we cooperate together in a big civil program, like a space program, that trickles down into other parts of the relationship, and that can only be positive.
And we certainly get a lot of great products that come from outer space research. And lastly, the ISS has been home to humans since about the year 2000. You lived there for a little while. How much life have we got left in that thing?
We have got a lot of life left. It's currently slated for operation through at least 2024. Studies have shown it can easily be operated through 2028 safely and probably beyond. I believe it could be operated well beyond. And the ISS is a key part of the exploration program because the biggest barrier to sending crews somewhere like Mars is biomedical. How do we keep astronauts and cosmonauts healthy in that harsh environment, especially with the harsh radiation environment? And so we need to test our countermeasures, develop and test our countermeasures using the ISS. The ISS also serves as a test bed for other technologies, robust life support systems, new propulsion systems, things like that. So ISS is an integral part of any future exploration program. So I would expect to see ISS extended through at least 2028.
All right, Leroy Chiao, always a fascinating talk. Leroy Chiao, former NASA astronaut and ISS commander, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Manila. Great to be with you again.